Salve, and welcome. Today we are in John chapter 2, starting off with verse 12, just about to finish this entire paragraph off. This is our rubric, everything that we're looking for as we go through this text. Let's go ahead and get started. And try not to pull the page off the desk, or drop pins continuously. Sorry. Post hoc descendit Capharnaum ipse et mater eius et fratres eius et discipuli eius et ibi manserunt non motis diebus. There we go. Very first thing we find is a preposition, and we don't want that. We want our verb, which is descendit, which means our prepositional phrase ends right there. Descendit ends in it. That's going to be a third person singular. And as for the tense, I believe this is descendo, descendere, descendi. I could be wrong about that. If so, I'll put a note. But then that means that we don't know the tense of this verb. It could either be present or perfect tense, so we need to write both. Pres or perf. And it is, of course, active, either way, and indicative. Take a look ahead. We've got ipse. Ipse is nominative, singular, masculine, from ipse, ipsa, ipsum. So this could be our subject right here. However, we have a conjunction right there and what looks like another nominative, so that might not be the case. We'll have to deal with that in a minute. Moving back to this, descends or descended. And now we can go back to post hoc. Post is a preposition based on what hoc's form is, from hic, haec, hoc. Write down. This is going to be either the nominative neuter singular or accusative neuter singular. Post doesn't take nominative, so it has to be accusative. And it's, of course, the singular, meaning after. After this, someone descends. Capernaum. Here is going to be accusative if it declines, and now I don't remember if it declines. It doesn't decline. Incorrect. Forgot about that. So this here doesn't actually help us. That's just the way that the word ends, coming from Aramaic. So without any way to identify the form of this, we just have to guess based on context. There's motion happening after this. Ipse doesn't help us at all with this. So because of motion, he's going somewhere, he, she, then that would mean accusative of place 2, which is a good option. It could, however, be he is descending while in Capernaum, but that doesn't make any sense since he is leaving Cana. That's just what happened before. So place to which, I'm going to label this as, to which. There we go. Now, as for figuring this out, let's go ahead and do everything before it, and mater, that's going to be nominative, singular, feminine. Eius, same thing as that, his, sorry, capitalized, and fratres, epsilon sigma, could be accusative or nominative plural. However, since it's got a conjunction connecting it to mater, it has to be nominative. Conjunctions cannot connect two things of different types, so only the one option. Plural, masculine, eius, his, and discipuli also has to be nominative because of that conjunction right there. Eius is again et. So our next clue for figuring out what exactly is going on here is all of these ets. Now there are a couple different ways to use coordinating conjunctions in Latin, which English doesn't really do. You can either use 0, and this is not going to be a normal thing, where you just list everything. Ipse mater fratres discipuli manserunt. Be a pretty weird way of doing it. Other way is just to use one conjunction, like English would do. Ipse et mater fratres discipuli manserunt. Or the other way around, where you use one coordinating conjunction for every party involved. Sometimes English will do something similar. However, it's not going to be 1-to-1 ratio of conjunctions versus objects of the conjunctions, objects that the conjunctions are joining together. Instead, in English, it's going to be one less conjunction to the objects. My grandparents and my parents and my siblings come. Grandparents, parents, siblings, but only 2 ands. Grandparents and my parents and my siblings. Yes, only 2 ands. Had to count. But in Greek and Latin, you'd never do that. Has to be 1-to-1 ratio. So 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4. So yes, ipse appears to be part of this clause rather than the first clause. So I'm going to put a comma right there. He himself, which means he right here. Oh gosh. And mother and brothers. Oops, more than one. And disciples. We ignore that one in English. We don't translate it. Their adverb. Manserunt. ERUNT is our ending, so that's going to be a third person plural perfect tense. Perfect is the only one that uses this as an ending, so that's pretty easy. And active indicative. Remained. Non multis diebus. Non could be modifying our verb, or it could be modifying these ablatives right here, or technically possibly datives. So we'd want to try it both ways. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at these. This is is ebus. These two clearly go together. Ebus. Ooh, there is a rule about this one. I'm not remembering the rule. So normally days is masculine, but I think when it's showing time, it becomes feminine. We can't really tell with this one. I think that's the rule. It might not be. If I have the time to look it up, I'll put a note at the bottom of the video to clarify. But anyway, dative or ablative, plural. I'm going to say feminine? Question mark. Okay. So since it's dative or ablative, we need to figure out what function it is before we can deal with non. If it's dative, then it would be the indirect object or some other dative function. So you'd try it that way. He himself and his mother and his brothers and his disciples remained there too many days. Now that sounds like it's T-O-O many days, which is definitely not what we want. We would have a superlative or something like that to indicate that idea. So dative, even in English, sounds wrong. Ablative is the better option, in which case, which ablative? Well, we've got the word for day right here. So then it has to be time. It can either be time within which or time when. The other time construction is duration of time. However, duration of time is in the accusative, so it's not that one. So it has to either be time within which, I think, or time when. So they remained there many days. Or they remained there within many days. And then trying it with not, they did not remain there many days, or they remained there not many days. Either way that we use not, it works. One sounds better than the other, so that's the one we should definitely go with. As for clarifying which function of this, I really think accusative after duration of time makes the most sense here, but we've got ablative. I don't really know what to do with that. I'm going to leave it blank. Cheating. I know. Well, there we go. That's the end of verse 12. Let's go ahead and take a look at it in its own context. After this, he descends or descended into, Capernaum. He himself and his mother and his brothers and his disciples remained there not many days. Sounds pretty good. Now let's take a look at it from verse 1. And on third day, wedding happened in Cana of Galilee, and mother of Jesus was there. But Jesus also was called, and his disciples to wedding. And since wine failed, mother of Jesus, says to him, "They do not have wine." And Jesus says to her, What is it to me and to you, woman? My hour is not yet come." His mother says to helpers, "Whatever he should say to you, do." But there were 6 stone water jars, positioned for the sake of purification of Jews, each holding 2 or 3 measures. Jesus says to them, "Fill water jars with water." And they filled them up to top. And Jesus says to them, "Draw now and carry to chief steward." And they carried. But as toastmaster tasted water having become wine, and was not knowing, or did not know if it's emphatic, whence it might be, but helpers knew, if emphatic, or were knowing, who had drawn out water. Toastmaster calls groom, and he says to him, "Every man first places good wine, and when they are inebriated, then it which is inferior. But you have kept good wine until now." Jesus made this beginning of signs in Cana of Galilee, and he manifested his own glory, and his disciples believed in him. After this, he descended into Capernaum, and he himself, his mother, brothers, his disciples remained there not many days. And there we go. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope taking a look at this has been helpful for you, and I hope you continue to join me whenever I am able to continue this. No promises that there's going to be anything next week. Life is life. Anyway, thank you. Karud Wallace.
Not asleep yet? That's okay. I've got tons of other equally sleep-inducing videos for you to watch. Check them out.